Grab a package, everybody. Grab one. And let's go.
For the most part, our behaviors are learned. Behavioral psychologists say that we are conditioned to do the things that we do. We come into this world with certain biological tendencies and predispositions. Through interaction with our environment and the people in it, we acquire the feelings, thoughts, and attitudes which help us to achieve adaptive responses to our world.
Mom, I'm hungry.
We're going to have dinner in 20 minutes.
I want an ice cream cone.
You can't have an ice cream cone now. We're having
We
dinner.
learn the activities that are most likely to help us fit in with our fellow human beings, developing a repertoire of behaviors that are in keeping with the demands of a complex society. On occasion, we develop maladaptive or inappropriate patterns of behavior. Even the most supportive and caring individuals unknowingly assist us in acquiring inappropriate behaviors. Conditioning is often unintentional. Here, John's mother is actually rewarding his tantrum behavior when she finally gives in to him. In the film you are about to see, we will demonstrate several of the more important procedures used in behavior therapy today. The processes which affect the development of our behaviors have been identified by the laboratory research of experimental psychologists. These psychologists explain the acquisition of behavior in terms of operant, classical, and observational learning. Behavior therapy is the process of applying the principles and procedures that have been demonstrated in the laboratory to human situations. The three models of learning, operant, classical, and observational, are applied by behavior therapists in treatments designed to eliminate problem behaviors, help remove irrational fears and anxieties, promote more successful ways of coping, and help develop skills to overcome behavioral deficits. On occasion, the problems that behavior therapists encounter are inconducive to the three models of learning. As a result, behavior therapists often have to modify their procedures during the course of therapy itself. In the opening scene, we witnessed the temper tantrum little John performed when he didn't get his own way. These tantrums took several years to reach that level and developed by the process of operant conditioning. The basic procedure of behavior therapy that is used to eliminate these behaviors is also operant conditioning. Mrs. Stewart has sought the advice of Dr. Harry I Kalish, leading professor of psychology at the State University of New York at Stony Brook. Dr. Kalish will attempt to modify the problem behaviors of Mrs. Stewart's son by consulting with her on those aspects of her behavior which encourage and reinforce John's tantrums. As in other types of therapy, the most important aspect of behavior therapy is the development of a relationship between the patient and the therapist. Dr. Kalish has already undertaken the assessment process, during which the therapist developed an understanding of the history of the problem and some of the components which instigated it and continue to maintain it. Now he is preparing to talk to Mrs. Stewart about her relationship with her son.
Tell me, Mrs. Stewart, what did you do when John would whine and carry on if you said no?
Well, at first I would try to ignore him. But then he would cry or scream loudly, and I would give in.
What do you mean, give in?
I would let him stay up late. I would let him watch television, give him a treat, whatever it was that he was yelling for. But once in a while I would say no. And then he would become hysterical. He would scream, he would sustain his screaming, he would jump up and down. I had to physically restrain him. And I couldn't stand seeing him like that, so I would let him win. And Dr. Kalish, I just can't stand it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, you see, Mrs. Stewart, when you gave in to John, you rewarded him for his tantrums. His tantrum is what caused you to give him what he wants. If he asked for a cookie or a favor or to stay up late, you said no. But if he screamed and cried, you said yes. It pays for him to scream and cry.
But Dr. Kalish, I don't always let him have his own way.
No, but you do it often enough so that he gets the message. If I cry loud enough and long enough, she'll give it to me.
But Dr. Kalish, what can I do about it?
Well, it may sound simple, but it won't be easy to do. You have to say no and mean it. You need to be completely consistent. Tell him no and give him a reasonable explanation for your decision. But above all, stick to it. Do you understand?
Yes.
You're too small. I can throw further than you. Woo! Woo! I beat you!
Glenn, please take these letters to the post office before it closes.
Oh, okay. Mommy! Glenn doesn't want to go. Let me go. I could go. Let me do it. Mom! Let me do it. Glenn doesn't want to do it.
No,
You're tired.
John, you cannot ride your bicycle alone on
Why
the
not?
road until we have done it a few more
Why
times
not?
together.
I want to do it now.
I have work to do. No, we
Take
will
me
do it
now.
later.
Now!
John,
Take me now!
I said
Take
no.
me now!
We will do it later.
Take me now! I want to go!
Thank
I
you,
wanna
Glenn.
go!
Thank
I
you.
want to go! I want to go!
John,
I want to go!
cannot
I
ride your
wanna
bicycle on the road
I
alone
wanna
until
go.
we've done it a few more
Take
times.
me now! I want to go!
At first and for some time, his tantrums will continue, and they may even get worse. But it is essential that you remain calm. Don't show him that you're angry or upset. And if need be, walk away from him. Do you understand? Do you think you can do that?
I hope I can do that.
John,
I want to go
I
now!
have work to do. I will take you later.
Take me now!
I will take...
Take me now!
John, I said no. I will take you later.
Take me now! Take me now!
John!
Now! Take me! Take me now! Now!
John!
Now!
Now, there is something else you must remember. You must reward John when he behaves well and when his tantrums subside. It will take several weeks, but I'm confident that if you ignore his tantrums, say no and mean no, John will stop his shouting and screaming. But remember, you must be consistent.
Johnny? You've been so cooperative lately. How about let's taking a bicycle ride to the post office together?
Yeah, that's great, Ma. Thanks.
John's problem was a relatively simple one. He was getting rewards for his inappropriate behavior. In other words, he was being operantly conditioned to have his tantrums. John's shouting and screaming would cause his mother to give him what he wanted, thereby increasing the likelihood that he would perform the behaviors again and again. The job of the therapist in a case like this is to teach the client the procedures for the extinction of the inappropriate behaviors and the replacing of them with more adaptive ones. During extinction, the rewards are removed for the inappropriate behavior. Here, the pigeon is pecking the lighted key, and he is rewarded with food. When extinction is applied and rewards are no longer forthcoming, it takes the pigeon a short time to learn that. This also is the case with John. His tantrum behavior will increase until he becomes aware that his mother will not give in. This phenomenon, in both humans and animals, is known as extinction bursting. Operant conditioning procedures are applied in many settings by providing rewards to increase desired behaviors. In mental hospitals, facilities for retarded persons, And in school classrooms, these procedures are used to encourage people to become more independent and self-sufficient and to work harder. In such institutional settings, behavior therapists often resort to providing tangible rewards in the form of food or special privileges. They do this by allowing clients to accumulate credits or tokens for appropriate behavior. These tokens are later exchangeable for the rewards. Known as token economies, these programs are gaining wider acceptance in therapeutic communities. The second model of learning upon which behavior therapy procedures have been developed is known as classical or Pavlovian conditioning. In this model, a previously neutral stimulus is associated with a reflex. A reflex consists of an unconditional stimulus which automatically elicits an unconditional response. After a number of associations, the neutral stimulus can produce the reflexive response. In a famous study by Watson and Rayner, a young child named Albert was shown a white rat. The rat was then presented at the same time as a loud, frightening noise. The noise itself elicited fear in little Albert. After repeated conditioning, the sight of the rat without the noise came to elicit the fear response in Albert. The severe form of this variety of reaction is known as a phobia. Behavior therapists suspect that many phobic reactions are conditioned in the same manner that Albert's was. Other phobic reactions are learned by imitation, as for example, one might imitate a parent's fearful reaction to heights. Now let's take a look at a situation for which the next procedure, that of counter-conditioning, would be appropriate.
Hold it, everybody. For next week, the subject of your oral presentations will be short men in power. 3 of you will speak in front of the class on the following fascinating personalities. William Mumford, you're first. You'll speak on Napoleon Bonaparte. Maureen Katz, your man is Isambard Kingdom Brunel. And Laurie Morgan, you take Henry Kissinger.
Dr. Joseph Wolpe, a pioneer in behavior therapy, developed a variety of procedures to counter-condition fear and anxiety reactions like the one we have just seen. Dr. Wolpe will demonstrate some of the procedures used during a systematic desensitization. He spends much time with a painstaking and thorough assessment. The assessment phase of the treatment includes development of patient-therapist rapport, a complete physical and psychological history, and an evaluation of the problem, its intensity, and the circumstances surrounding its activation. The behavior therapist then designs the techniques for treatment to meet the specific needs of each client. Throughout the procedures, the effects of treatment are carefully evaluated to ensure maximum effective change. Even after the therapy has been completed, Dr. Wolpe will carefully monitor how well the patient's progress has been maintained in the person's natural environment.
Laurie, what is your problem?
Well, I'm petrified of getting up in front of the class. I've had to drop out of 3 courses since I've been in this school just because I can't make an oral presentation. I know I'll make a fool out of myself. As soon as the teacher calls on me, I feel my knees buckle and I feel like there's a clamp around my throat. I know that if I try and speak, nothing's going to come out. I don't know what to do.
How long have you had this fear?
All my life.
Do you have any other fears? During the last 5 sessions, we've been to every aspect of your life. You've learned to relax, and you really are an excellent relaxer. The most important thing that we've found is that you're very sensitive to disapproval. You're upset even by the disapproval of unimportant people.
During the preceding 5
What we're going to
sessions,
do now
Dr. Wolpe collected
is to
a list of graded situations ranging from slightly anxiety-provoking to extremely frightening circumstances. In Laurie's case, the items on this list range from she is self-centered to she is unpunctual. In the next phase, Dr. Wolpe will teach Laurie deep muscle relaxation as the beginning of a treatment program known as systematic desensitization. Basically, this counter-conditioning technique will be used to replace the anxiety response to public speaking with a relaxation response. He will also teach her to evaluate the tensions in her body on a graded scale. This process will help Laurie to tune in to the anxiety states that she experiences. He will then have her relax as deeply as she can while he describes a scene which may or may not be frightening to her. As soon as she feels the slightest bit of tension, she is instructed to indicate that by raising the index finger of her right hand, and then Dr. Wolpe will stop. This procedure will continue until Laurie can go through all of the items on her hierarchy, from least to most frightening, without getting tense and anxious. The tension response for each of her scenes will be replaced with relaxation.
And Clara is saying to Joan, yes, I do like Laurie, but she tends to be unpunctual. Now stop imagining that scene. By how much did your anxiety level go up while you were imagining that scene?
5.
Now just relax and imagine the same scene again. Stop. How much did it go up that time?
Not at all.
Okay, now keep on relaxing. Okay, Laurie, now you've been desensitized to all the items in that hierarchy. Now, open your eyes. Well, how do you feel?
Fine.
Well, now that you're no longer upset by unimportant disapprovals, you're going to find yourself much more comfortable in all public speaking situations.
I do already. You know, yesterday I was sitting at a meeting and I felt as if I had to say something, and I just said it. I really couldn't believe it. I really feel more comfortable, you know, talking to people on any level.
In a matter of weeks, Laurie, like many other phobics, will probably be able to face the fearful event calmly. Systematic desensitization and other counter-conditioning techniques have been used successfully in the treatment of phobias, obsessive-compulsive disorders, sexual fetishes, and a variety of other problems. Masters and Johnson's treatments for sexual dysfunctions is a variation on these counter-conditioning procedures first developed by Dr. Wolpe. The last category of therapeutic procedures developed by behaviorists is the category applying the principles of observational learning, or modeling. These principles, first elucidated by Dr. Albert Bandura, demonstrate that people learn to behave by observing the actions of others. The behavior and its consequences determine whether a behavioral pattern will be learned. This learning process applies to both appropriate and inappropriate activity. In this final segment, we will see observational learning procedures applied in the therapeutic milieu.
You okay? I'm fine.
Hi.
Hi.
Say, is your instrument case okay? I saw that guy go barreling by, and I thought maybe he knocked
okay.
it. Oh, I thought like maybe he hurt your instrument or something. Listen, I don't suppose you'd like to have lunch or something, because, you know, I was thinking of going down to the cafeteria, you know, and I thought, you know, if you're not doing anything, or like if you are, you know, we could do it some other time or something.
Okay. Another time.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. See you later, I guess. You wanted to go and have some lunch.
The young man has entered therapy with Dr. Virginia A. Roswell, supervising psychologist at the State University of New York at Stony Brook.
Walked away.
Is that all that happened, Jim?
Yeah, that's it.
Let's role play, okay?
Okay.
You said you were in a corridor, right? All right, why don't we turn the chairs around, and that'll make the room look like it's a corridor. Does this look about right?
Yeah,
And
okay.
she was
standing
standing
against the wall.
Okay. All right, I'll play the girl, and why don't you pretty much say and do what you did the other day?
Okay. Hi, is your instrument case okay? I saw that guy go barreling by.
Once Dr. Roswell has observed Jim's behavior, she will reverse their roles.
All right, Jim. Now, I'm going to imitate your behavior.
Okay.
Ready? Oh, hi. I noticed
Dr. Roswell is showing Jim what he looked like when he approached her.
Everything all right?
Oh, yeah.
She is imitating his behavior. When she is finished, she will ask Jim to comment on the pros and cons of his technique. Dr. Roswell assumes that Jim will see some of the errors he made, but she will have to point out directly others that he might not have noticed. The next procedure she will use will demonstrate or model the procedures that might be more appropriate. Notice that she will only work with the initial meeting, the first exchange. She wants to be sure that Jim will feel comfortable with it before they go any further.
Okay, Jim. What sort of criticisms can you level against my imitation of your behavior?
Well, it started out okay, I think, and then you got more and more nervous. There was less eye contact when you asked me to go to lunch.
Right.
And your speech patterns became more hesitant, I think.
Anything else?
I don't know.
Anything good?
Well, it seemed like a good way to start out the conversation to ask her how she was.
In addition to which, your voice was very friendly when you went over to her. Now, I'm going to model for you an improved version of the same scene, all right?
Okay.
Hi, I saw that guy jostled your instrument case. Is everything all right?
Oh, it's fine. Yes, it's fine.
Oh, God, he gave you quite a knock.
I'm all right.
Everything all right? Good. My name is Jim. It's lunchtime. Would you like to join me in the cafeteria for some lunch?
Well, all right. I was going down to the cafeteria.
Good, good. The food's not great, but the treat's on me.
Okay.
Very good. What's your name?
My name's Ginny.
Super. Okay, Jim. What was different about that?
Well, you were a lot more at ease. There was good eye contact, and you faced me straight on, and you spoke without hesitation.
In addition to which, the phrase I used was put in a positive rather than a negative way.
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's reverse roles again, and I'd like you to rehearse the behavior I've just modeled.
Okay.
Ready?
The process now is a general shaping of the pattern that will best suit Jim, without the self-defeating style that he originally used. It will take a while before Jim can imitate a whole initial meeting, but he's catching on. In this case, the client didn't have a problem behavior. He had a skill deficit. He needed to learn how to perform a needed social behavior. Dr. Roswell's approach was to allow Jim to pick out his own mistakes and then show him a better way. She then helped him to try it himself. The procedures demonstrated by Jim and Dr. Roswell were based primarily on the observational learning model. These procedures have been applied to skill deficit problems, antisocial behaviors, phobias, and interpersonal problems. In this film, we have seen the three basic procedures used by behavior therapists, those based on operant, classical, and observational learning. These procedures are an outgrowth of experimental research in learning, research done with laboratory animals. But the procedures of behavior therapy have also been built up from empirical studies with human beings themselves. Behavior therapy begins with the establishment of a warm and personal relationship between therapist and client. It includes well-planned and carefully executed assessment procedures to evaluate the problem and what the effects of removing the difficulty might be for the client and those with whom the client interacts. The behavior therapist must be able to see the client within the context of his or her environment. How does the client fit into their network of friends, relatives, and acquaintances? Behavior therapy is a way of objectively viewing individuals and their worlds. Behavioral psychologists undertake a systematic, careful analysis of the procedures and processes of behavior therapy in direct relation to the individuals to whom it will be applied. The techniques and procedures of behavior therapy are ones that can be tested and retested for revision and improvement.
Hi.
Hi.
Is this seat taken?
No,
No? My name is Jim.
I'm Alice.
Hi, Alice. What are you studying?
Well, I'm not studying.
In our introduction to behavior therapy, we have had only a brief time to demonstrate the very basics of this method of treatment. There's much more. We hope you will take the time to explore for yourselves the elegance, simplicity, and effectiveness that is behavior therapy.